Shots to the top, make the dead levitate. I'm back by popular demand. Back on the beach, back with the mic in hand.
Yo, what's up? This is ILL LITERATE from the Scribes, answering a few quick questions for Wheeler. Totem Trilogy Part 1 is the first in a 3-part series of EPs that we're doing as the Scribes. Each one's going to be featuring a different producer. The first one is Astro Snare from up in Oxford, raised in Chicago. The second one's Vice Beats, and the third's going to be Cut Beatles from Finland. So it gives a real sort of mix. The reason we wanted to do a series of EPs was the amount of time that it takes to get through doing a whole album while we're sort of touring and gigging meant that it was sometimes going more than a year between releases and sort of new content for people. So EPs are a lot more manageable for us, means we can get them out a bit quicker, and also it was a chance to work with some people that we really wanted to work with for a long time in a more kind of concentrated way than just doing a one-off track. Also, the cover art's by Chris Malbon, who is absolutely incredible, and all 3 EPs are going to kind of link in like that to make one big image of a totem, which would be really, really cool if you want to collect all 3. So that's why it's called the Totem Trilogy. Well, the other 2 releases, so the first one's Vice Beats. He's a producer from Bristol. We worked before on Adrenaline and a few other tracks. So that one's going to bring very much a sort of golden age hip hop feel. He's recently had a release that was a tribute to Dilla that's done really well, and I think that's kind of representative roughly of Vice Beats sound. It really suits what we do as well. It really is very much our kind of vibe, is the old school golden age hip hop kind of feel. The third one is with Cut Beatles from Finland. They're really interesting cinematic production. It's going to be really interesting with them. I can't wait to get working on that one as well. It's very much less traditional hip hop, less steady boom bap, and much more dynamic, much more kind of dips and highs and lows. Should make for some really interesting music, but I think all of them hopefully are going to come together really nicely to have each producer represented. So like the one that's just come out, Totem Trilogy Part 1 with Astro Snare, I think really represents Astro Snare's sound. It's like a mix of sort of electro funk and boom bap, and I think hopefully we'll be able to represent each producer on their own EP whilst keeping it kind of in line with what we do, keeping the signature Scribe sounds that we bring, the sort of energy that we bring to the road, that we bring to releases, that'll stay consistent throughout all 3. As mentioned, Chris Malbon is the artist for the releases. We met him completely by chance. He's an absolutely incredible artist. It's cmalbon.com if you want to check him out. He's done some amazing work for some like massive films. We're honoured to have him on board, to be honest. We met him at a festival in Stroud. His wee child was dancing to our set, and they put a video up on Instagram that we were tagged in, and he was really getting down, the little kid. So we offered to send him some radio edits in case his kid wanted to listen to the music without having any of the like naughty words, because he's only a young boy. Later found out that Chris was this amazing artist. He offered to do these bits for us, so we kind of called in the favour for this series, and the idea of them linking together is all him. He's an absolute genius. He just came back to us like, right, so originally we were just expecting sort of one image that we could do in different shades across the 3, but he went kind of one better and was like, right, I'll do a whole totem, they can all link in, and it'll be like a collection. So the Totem Trilogy Part 1, I think, mainly originates from a beat CD Astro Snare gave us. I think we were supporting Pharaoh Monch in Bristol, just a bit casual name drop, and the Astro Snare came along, gave us a beat CD, said, right, this is the next album. I think we were in the middle of working on the last album at the time, so it's probably a couple of years ago, and it kind of sat there for a bit because we were still working on the next album and touring and stuff. And then after, I think at some point it made its way into the car when we were driving to and from gigs. I think that was the first time we really sat down and listened to them, was maybe 6 months after that, so maybe a year ago. And we're playing them on the way back from sort of gigs and getting some ideas to some of them, really, really liking a lot of it. And there was, to be honest, there was at least 5 tracks made on the EP that we could have used. There was a lot more, which may make their way onto future releases, but these 5 really are the kind of cream. So I reckon in total from there, listen to them, probably put together most of the choruses in the car, kind of going back and forth from gigs, finalise the writing. So probably maybe a year and a half from when we first got the beat CD, and maybe a year of solid work from us when we listened to it and really focused in on that being the next release, including everything, including like getting it, the mastering, the mixing, the verses. Yeah, definitely a certain stress. It feels like you get so engrossed in it when you're making it, and so zoomed in on all the details, so focused on the tiny little things, that you get to a point where you're just worried about it ever going right, it ever being perfect enough for you. But when it's out there, it's immediately like, oh, okay, that's done. And you look back sort of even a week after it's released and you go, oh, actually, I'm really proud of that. That's some really good work. Whilst a week before release, you're panicking about something so small no one's going to ever notice, you know what I mean? So yeah, it does feel good to have it out there. It feels nice to get it pushed out. That's, again, the reason we're doing these series of EPs, is to get things out quicker, have less of the time where we're worried about tiny little details, and more of the time where we're giving people new releases, new videos, new songs, and more of the time where we can be bringing these songs to the road. It's an EP, and it's one solid producer. So prior to this, all of our albums, I think, have always had a mix of producers, a mix of different sounds. Well, this is a kind of smaller release because of the in terms of length and number of songs. This is solidly with one producer, so it does have more maybe of a uniform sound, and it's I think the nice thing about it is we get to reflect the different sides of Astro Snare, the different things that he brings to the table. Normally, traditionally, on our releases, we tend to have his more upbeat, kind of funky songs, and there are some of those on this EP, but there's also some of his more contemplative stuff, which is really nice and really been interesting to work with. And like I said, I think throughout it we've maintained a kind of uniform sound by being us and bringing the Scribes to everything that we do. Oh man, the single I'm Back I really like. The video's gone down really well. It was a lot of fun doing the video, working with a legend like MC Duke, who really did start English hip hop in a big way and was sort of the originator, really, one of the first to be rapping in an English accent, putting stuff out there, paved the way for a huge amount of people. That was an absolute privilege, you know, so that was a real moment. I think personally I really like Rock This Part 2. I think that's really nice. I think the vibe of it's very much what we do. I can't wait to be out doing it live and performing. I think that'll go down really well with live crowds, and that's always what I tend to think of, to be honest, when we're done writing, when we're done sort of recording and it's a finished product. My immediate thought is, what's this going to do on the road? How is this going to be going down with like festival crowds? How's it going to be going down with club crowds? And I think that will really get people up and really get people moving. And that's sort of that's what we built ourselves on. That's what we continue to do. So I think that's my favourite for those reasons. But obviously they're all awesome, you know. We've been lucky enough to hit a lot of festivals, so I think that it would probably have to be one of those. It's always a privilege when you get to play somewhere like Glastonbury. That's always a big deal. You get to play Boomtown, things like that. That's always a real big thing for anyone, you know what I mean? That's always a real excitement. I think things like that always feel like you're really achieving something every time you do it, do you know what I mean? So they're a big thing. There's in terms of more like maybe less known things, Leopalooza is a festival down in Devon that's always really good for us. They've got a big permanent stage built as part of it. It's always an amazing crowd down there. There's a lot of people that come back every year for us, so that we really like that. You should definitely check it out if you've not been. There's an amazing vibe there. In terms of like club venues, the Watering Hole in Perranporth is always a joy. It's in the middle of a beach down in Cornwall as well. That is, it's just in the middle of a beach. Get some mad acts down there, and the crowd's always well up for it. I think those are all the places I look forward to the most. But then, to be honest, like we enjoy everywhere we do. Do you know what I mean? Everywhere we play, we really like performing. Really like the crowd that turns out for us. There's nowhere that we like kind of don't look forward to, really. You know what I mean? It's every time, every gig, you're like, right, I'm up for this. It's gonna be big. And I think people like that a lot. You know, I think people see when you're enjoying yourself, see when you're having fun on stage, and want to reciprocate. You know, I think a lot of hip hop might be a bit too cool for its own good sometimes when it's kind of performing. Might be a bit too removed from it. Whilst we try and get very much up and involved and get everyone involved. You know. Well, me and Johnny were both raised in Bristol. I don't know if I was somewhere else, if I'd have been introduced to hip hop at such a young age or been aware of things. Like when we were maybe 14, 15, you'd hear things like Aspects, and you'd be, I think just because of the general culture in Bristol, there was shops selling like underground hip hop, things like Raucous Records, Battle Axe Records, and I don't know without that input where else I would have found hip hop. It was quite a normal thing to be like at a house party and to be, you know, doing particularly good, but doing a rap, you know, and doing it as part of the fun. I don't know whether that's particularly common in other places. I'm sure it's in some other places, but definitely it is in Bristol was where I found it, and I don't know without that whether I ever would have, to be honest. It also meant when we did find it, there was a big community there. There's a lot of other people you could learn from, a lot of other people you could work with, a lot of other people you could get involved with once you went, right, hip hop's my thing, this is what I love, this is what I do. In Bristol, it's very easy to find, okay, here's the scene, here's people, here's a venue, here's a mixtape, things like that. And also you're just surrounded by different types of music all the time, you know, and you're brought up around the idea that there are different types of music. This is a big enough place to have a scene for whatever you want, and whether you're in that scene or not, just being aware of its existence and aware of these other types of music and overhearing them, I think influenced us in a huge way. I think that the range of genres and stuff we pull from now when we're making music is so wide, and I think a lot of that has to do with Bristol having such a wide scene.
Leave you marked in blue, but even when it's smart, stick to yourself and to your heart be true. How easy
well, me and Johnny have been best mates since we were 5. We've never really not worked together. I think it comes back to just genuinely enjoying what we do together. We have fun on stage, we have fun in the studio. We don't always kind of agree, but we've known each other long enough to always be able to reach a compromise and pull in aspects of what everybody wants to make what we end up doing. And luckily people are enjoying it. I think a big part of what makes us work well together is just that, is being genuine friends and genuinely having a good time, whatever you're doing. Well, so when we started, the Bristol scene was there. A lot of places didn't necessarily have a scene for English hip hop, and also when we first started, it were a lot of kind of festivals and things like that weren't necessarily open to the idea of straight hip hop, particularly without bands like Hip Hop Like Us with a DJ setup rather than a live band. That was in the first few years it was a hard sell to get festivals and some venues kind of on board with that. But I think over the years that's become such an accepted thing. It's broken into the mainstream a lot more. People are a lot used to seeing things like that a lot more and appreciating things like that a lot more. Over the years it's got a lot easier to have that as part of a festival lineup, and for us to get on a festival lineup because of that. Do you know, people can see the energy that performance can bring, see the crowd participation that kind of performance can bring, and people are enjoying it. I think when we started it was maybe more of a, I think people felt it was more of a risk to put it on. Whilst now I think people are comfortable going, okay, if we put this on, X amount of people will love this. Do you know? And that's it. Make sure you check us out, facebook.com/Scribes Music. If you join our mailing list at quillequipped.com, you can get a free album. Check out the video for I'm Back on YouTube. The Totem Trilogy Part 1 is out now on CD, digital, Spotify. Add it to your playlist, give it a stream, give it a listen. The CDs look cool as hell. I don't know if I've got one in my hand, but they do. You can get them from scribesmusic.bandcamp.com. Thank you very much for having me. Always check out new stuff on Wheel Up. Bye.